Hundreds of TVs, fridges and mobile phones all lie piled up in Accra's sprawling Ababoloshi market. The dump site for broken electronic goods stretches for miles, and 600 people make a living here looking for metal. First they pull out any parts that have metal in them, and then they burn off the plastic casings with fires made from anything flammable that's lying around the dump site. Income here varies from day to day, but one dealer told us that he can earn up to $200 in a single day, and then nothing for a whole week. But that's still enough to make some savings, and many here have dreams of what they'll do next to sustain them as they work here.
If I get the money, if I can start or some business, I will leave that work.
Even children come and work here, but it's a tough job. All the waste is stripped by hand, and injuries are common. That's just the beginning, says Dr. Ebenezer Enkum, a physician in a private hospital in Accra.
Prolonged exposure to those metals can result in cancerous situations. For example, people who get exposed can have cancers of the bladder, cancers of internal organs like the liver and other things. Lead is one dangerous chemical which, if it's in the environment, and especially children come into continuous contact with it, can lead to what we call lead poisoning, which has serious consequences. It can affect children's IQ and let them have very low IQ. It can affect several organs in the body, their blood systems, and even turn the blood systems into cancerous situations, what we call leukemias.
That doesn't deter Suleimani Isaka, a 26-year-old high school dropout from northern Accra, who's been working in the scrap industry for 3 years.
Sometimes it's lucky. I can go and get 200, 150, 100. Sometimes I can go around more than 20 miles before I won't get anything.
Suleimani doesn't wait for trash to get dumped at the site. He gets it at source. There are second-hand electronic stores on almost every street here, and Suleimani makes daily trips around Ababoloshi neighborhood, calling on both shops and private houses. Metals that are easiest to sell on, aluminium and copper, and to extract them, Suleimani goes to the dump site to do the same work as everyone else there.
I want to move the aluminium and the copper. If I finish, I'll go away the aluminium and the copper separate. Get aluminium from fridges, then TVs will get copper from the TVs, then monitors will get copper from monitors. I'm coming to find the copper, the electric wires. Okay, this one like this, it will weigh about 2 pounds. So I'll get about $4.
A representative from one of the factories at Tema, Ghana's biggest port, is at the dump site to weigh and buy the scrap at the end of the day. Suleimani makes $30 today. There's also someone else at Ababoloshi today, a representative from the environmental organisation Greenpeace. They accuse Western governments of dumping their electronic leftovers here, in violation of the Basel Convention, which prohibits the exporting of dangerous waste to other countries.
The waste is coming from developing countries like European Union or USA, and it's a cheap solution to dump the waste, basically non-discriminately importing both second-hand products as well as waste. And the developed countries are basically getting rid of their problem and dumping it on countries like Ghana, but also Nigeria, or in Asia, in India and China. But no one knew so much about Ghana. That's why we decided to come and expose the problem to the wider world.
Ghana's Environmental Protection Agency is meant to regulate the way in which the waste is managed. They've been accused of dragging their feet and not taking any action.
Before we do this, we need to get a baseline information concerning the inflows, concerning who uses them, and so many other information. Then we can put our stakeholders together, come up with some guidelines and regulations, seek the assent of the Attorney General and Parliament, enact a legislation that would regulate the inflow and end uses of these products that we're talking about.
It's not just the scrap dealers who make use of the extra waste. The aluminium that doesn't wind up in factories is sold to small-scale metal workers like this shop, which makes cooking pots. The mould for the pots is made by hand and is carefully assembled every time a new pot is made. The recycled metal is melted down using a simple heat-proof pot on an open fire. Then it's carefully poured into the mould. Once it's set, the cooking pot just needs a few adjustments and then it's ready to use. The process requires a variety of different waste products.
They use aluminium, powder, charcoal and the Frigimoto's pot.
Suleimani would also likely object if a ban on imports of second-hand or throwaway electronics were enforced. He sends at least $100 home to his parents every month, money that puts all his brothers and sisters through school. He's also saving up to buy a taxi and eventually own his own house. But his commitment to being able to do his job continues long after he gets home.
Actually, I decide the way we are pushing this in the truck home. That's why I do this exercise, to get strong, to be pushing the truck.
The way in which e-waste is disposed of needs to be managed better, not just here in Ghana, but in the rest of the world too, where more and more electronic gadgets are scrapped every day. But for the people who work in the industry, it's a lifeline, even if in the long run it could cost them their lives.